Sound&Vision Television, quest'oggi con Jack from White Lies. Hi Jack.
Hello.
So let's start talking about the first name, your first name as a band, Fear of Flying. Why have you changed the name into White Lies and when?
Fear of Flying was something that we were doing when we were really young. You know, we were about, I guess, 15 years old when we started that band, and it was something that we did on the weekends when we were in school, and then it was like a hobby to us, and it was something we really enjoyed doing, and I think we learnt a lot from doing it. But when we finished school, we were about 18 or 19. We felt like the songs that we were writing didn't really have any relevance compared to the songs that we'd done, as Fear of Flying back then. So the reason we changed our name and kind of we left everything behind. We wanted a fresh start. We wanted people to hear these new songs, in a way which meant that they didn't already have a preconception of what we sounded like. We just felt like we'd grown up a lot and we were a lot more mature, and we didn't want people to compare our music from when we were 15 years old to the music we were making, when we were 19 years old.
Yes. And your sound is full of new wave, dark wave, and indie rock. Is a mixture of these types of music. And what are your favorite artists, and where does your inspiration come from?
I think as a band we have a really like diverse set of influences. It's not like we all have one favourite band. I think White Lies sound kind of comes from all of our different influences, and it's kind of like a cocktail of everything that we listen to and everything that inspires us. So it's kind of hard to say where exactly our sound comes from, but for me personally, there's a few bands which I really love who I know have kind of inspired me. Bands like the Secret Machines, whose first record came out I think in about 2003. That was a record which really inspired me to, want to really make something of the band and everything like that. And there are other bands as well. There's a few bands that we all really like actually. Echo and the Bunnymen is one band that we all actually are really into. Secret Machines is another one. Talking Heads is another one. There's only a few that we all love. It's quite a diverse range.
And in your lyrics, there are themes unusual, especially for a young band like you are. For example, emotions, thoughts, and death also. And do you think they are difficult themes for the public, the mainstream public?
I don't think so. I think the kind of part of the idea about the lyrics, the way that we have them, is that they're really universal. I think themes like love, loss, happiness and sadness, they're things that everyone feels, so I don't think it cuts anyone off. I think if anything it leaves it open to anyone, so I think anyone could enjoy our music in that respect. I think I also think it's important that in terms of music that's kind of popular and in the charts and things like that, it's important to have music which represents every side of human emotion, not just positive things as well. Sometimes nervous things or anxious feelings, and I think our music does that, and I think for that reason people are quite attracted to it, because it offers something different than what a lot of other bands will offer them.
And connected the decadence of modern society with to art has been done also several times from other bands like Interpol, for example, or Editors, Echo and the Bunnymen also, and giving them a huge success, like in your experience. Why do you think so?
I think because things that people relate to is something that people really enjoy, and I'm not sure. I think at the end of the day, all of those bands, the most important thing about all of those bands is they have great songs. That's the first thing. They have a really kind of definitive style and sound to them, which means that you could hear the first kind of 20 seconds of any of those bands' songs and it's by them. And I think that's really important. And if you have your own style and your own sound and you write good songs, and it's very attractive to people. It's nice to feel like you're listening to the full package when you listen to a new band. So I think that's why those bands have been so successful.
And the death you mean in your song is a spiritual, emotional death, I suppose. And what do you mean?
I think the term death and the fact that we have lyrics related to death a lot, it's not always literal at all. It's meant a lot of the time as a metaphor, for loss essentially. Whether that's whether you lose something physical, or you lose love for someone or anything like that. That's what death represents a lot of time in our songs, because I don't know, it's quite a powerful way to convey that emotion. I think it's the most kind of to the point way of conveying that emotion. What you're talking, like when we use the word death, we know what we mean by it, and I think that's really important to us, and I think it translates well as well. I think people understand that.
Your lyrics come from personal experience?
Our lyrics are written all by Charles, our bass player, and he writes them. It's a lot of it is personal experience, but it's done in a kind of narrative way, it's like telling a story. So you build up a kind of story around a personal experience. So you'd never be able to tell what his personal experience was. But I think all of our songs are based on something, or some emotion that we've felt at some time.
You've been recognized as one of the better bands in the last years in Europe and worldwide. Do you think it's dangerous to get a huge hype in a short time?
It is, I suppose. It is if you haven't kind of already written your album. We got a lot of hype and a lot of attention, but I think we already felt quite safe because we'd already written and recorded our album. It was something that we were really happy with, something we were very proud of. So we didn't feel like there was too much pressure on us. But I think if you're a new band and you get a lot of attention after your first few shows or something, and then everyone wants to hear your record and you haven't written it, then there's a lot of pressure on you to kind of write something amazing. But we've always been fairly comfortable with it, because it's like in a lot of respects we're not too bothered about what anyone else really thinks about our music. It's the reason we wrote the songs in the first place was for us more than anyone else. You have to write music for yourself, and otherwise it's not an honest way of recording or being an artist. So I think it hasn't been too much of a problem for us. I mean, there's always a backlash though from things like hype. So we can play in some places, and we know that there's always going to be a lot of people who maybe aren't convinced by our music because there was so much hype beforehand. So that's the only real downside to it for us. It hasn't been something that's really bothered us. So.
This summer, for example, in Italy, yesterday, for example, you've played before very important bands like Franz Ferdinand, Block Party, This Evening, The Killers, and so on, and in big places and big festivals. Do you prefer playing in the small clubs like the first you've been playing in your career, or a big festival?
I think we certainly enjoy different things about both of the types of shows. I think the big shows that we're doing this summer, in the festivals and big arenas and all of this kind of thing, that's really great for us, because it's like a new challenge, because it's something that we haven't really done much of before, and it's a chance to win over a lot of new fans. Like yesterday it was all Killers fans, and a lot of them hadn't even heard of White Lies, so it was a good chance for us to go out there and play to a load of people who didn't know our music, and maybe win them over. So that's one side of it that we really like about doing the big festivals. But then I think also it's really great to play your own headline shows, because everyone there has bought tickets to see your music, and you can have a lot more fun with things like production and lighting and all of that. So there's definitely pluses to both of them. At the moment I'm really enjoying doing all these outdoor shows though. In the summer I think it's given us a chance to see a lot of the world as well. We have never been to a lot of the places we're playing, and it's beautiful cities like this where we're doing a pretty amazing looking concert. I think it should be really good tonight.
Are you writing a new album, new songs?
At the moment we're not, because we're kind of we're on tour so much. We're on tour to the end of the year really, and it's kind of one of those things where we are the kind of band who don't want to write bits of an album on the road. You know, we don't want to have like little pieces of songs written everywhere. We'd rather take 2 months off next year and just write the whole thing and make it, you know, make it an album. Like that's how we did it with this record. We wrote the whole record and recorded it in quite a short period of time. And I think that's great because it means that you get, you know, consistency running through the whole album, and it sounds the same, and it's all coherent. And that's what we want to do again. We would be really keen to kind of maintain the way that we write, which is quite a slow process sometimes, but we would want to write all the album in one big go, I think.
Okay, thank you very much for your kindness, and let's see you the next time.
Thank you.
Grazie a tutti.